Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lynn. Namaskar. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Israel identifies the body of Shiri Bibas, returned by Hamas. Hamas is set to release 6 Israeli hostages in exchange for 602 Palestinian prisoners. US pushes Ukraine to sign a critical minerals deal soon. Trump says that Zelensky and Putin must get together to end this conflict. The Indian origin Kash Patel is sworn in as the FBI director in Washington. He takes oath on the holy book, the Bhagavad Gita. Political parties in Germany are into the last leg of campaigning for Sunday's voting. The polls show the mainstream parties are losing steam and the far right and the far left are gaining ground. And in sports, an injury hit Australia are going to face England, the opening match of the Champions Trophy in Lahore on Saturday. That's their opening match. Hamas is releasing 6 hostages in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. This is part of a hostage prisoner swap under the ongoing Gaza ceasefire deal. The hostages are the last living hostages from a group of 33 that were due to be freed in the first stage of the ceasefire deal, which was agreed to last month. 4 of the hostages were seized by the Hamas gunmen during their attack on Israel on October 7, 2023. Another 2 have been held by Hamas since they entered Gaza separately under unexplained circumstances around a decade ago. Now, after this release is concluded, there will be 4 remaining bodies of Israeli captives to be handed over, and that would conclude phase 1 of the ceasefire agreement, which ends on March 1. The second phase of Gaza truce talks is expected to begin in the coming days. The body of the Israeli hostage Shiri Bibas has been identified. Israel's army radio reported earlier on Saturday, adding that Bibas was likely slain in captivity with her children. Israeli hostages Shiri Bibas's kibbutz community also confirmed her death on Saturday after new remains were returned from Gaza. Now, Hamas has handed over the mortal remains of Shiri Bibas, whose misidentification in the handover this week, in fact, had threatened to derail the fragile Gaza ceasefire deal. The handover comes after Israeli authorities had accused Hamas of a horrific violation for sending the wrong body of an unidentified person and falsely claiming that it was the body of the Israeli woman in an earlier exchange. Arab leaders met in Riyadh on Friday to craft a plan for Gaza's post-conflict reconstruction. Saudi state news agency SPA, in a statement, described the meeting as an informal brotherly gathering. According to the SPA, the meeting included consultations on various regional and international issues with a focus on joint efforts to support the Palestinian cause and address developments in the Gaza Strip. It added that the leaders welcomed the Emergency Arab Summit, which is scheduled for Cairo on the 4th of March 2025, after which the first phase of Egypt's reconstruction plan is also expected to begin should the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas hold. Shifting focus to the Russia-Ukraine conflict and advocating for a quick resolution to this conflict, the U.S. President Donald Trump has called for cooperation between President Putin and President Zelensky. And he emphasized that Russia was open to negotiating a deal. In fact, Trump held individual talks with both the leaders to discuss this matter. Trump, in office for just about a month, is pushing for a quick deal to end this conflict and has alarmed Washington's European allies by leaving them out as well as Ukraine out of the talks with Russia.
I think that President Putin and President Zelensky are going to have to get together because you know what? We want to stop killing millions of people. You have young soldiers being killed. If you saw the pictures that I saw of the battlefield from satellite, you've never seen any pictures like that.
Further, Trump also flagged that a mineral deal with Ukraine was close. The proposed pot.
I think we're pretty close, yeah. I think they want it, and they feel good about it, and it's significant, it's a big deal, but they want it, and it keeps us in that country, and they're very happy about it. But it's we get our money back. This should have been signed long before we went in. This should have been signed by Biden, but Biden didn't know too much about what he was doing. The war should have never happened.
The proposed partnership would give the United States access to Ukraine's deposits of critical minerals. Trump wants Ukraine to give U.S. companies access to minerals as compensation for the tens of billions of dollars of aid delivered under his predecessor, Joe Biden. Ukraine is seeking security guarantees from the United States in exchange for signing the critical minerals deal. During his nightly address, Zelensky said that his government was working with Washington on a draft agreement which aims to strengthen the weakening relations between the two countries.
The teams of Ukraine and the United States are working on a draft agreement between our governments. This agreement has the potential to strengthen our relations, and the most importantly, the details must be arranged in a way that ensures it works. I hope for a result, a fair result.
Germany heads to snap elections. Sunday is the day after the collapse of the Chancellor Olaf Scholz coalition. And with four key contenders in the race, the outcome will determine Germany's fate and influence Europe's political direction. Let's look at this report.
Germany is set to hold a snap national election on Sunday, February 23rd, following the collapse of Chancellor Olaf Scholz's three-way coalition. The election has triggered extensive debates across the country on topics ranging from the economy and migration to Germany's role in the European Union. With four major contenders vying for the chancellorship, the results will not only determine Germany's future, but also impact the broader European landscape.
Alles Gute, viel Erfolg.
First up, Friedrich Merz. A seasoned politician, Merz is widely expected to become Germany's next chancellor. Leading the conservative CDU-CSU alliance, Merz is a known advocate for tax cuts and deregulation. His campaign focuses on revitalizing the economy while balancing the conservative base with a push to win back votes from the far-right Alternative for Germany, or AfD. Next, Alice Weidel of the far-right AfD. Weidel's candidacy has shaken Germany's political dynamics. An economist by training, fluent in Mandarin, Weidel presents a modern face for a party often criticized for its far-right views. Under her leadership, the AfD has gained substantial support by focusing on strict immigration policies and calling for the tighter border controls. Olaf Scholz, of course the incumbent chancellor from the Social Democratic Party, or SPD, is seeking a second term. However, persistent infighting within the coalition and a struggling economy have weakened his position, with polls showing the SPD trailing behind the Conservative and the AfD. Rounding up the list is Robert Habeck of the Greens. Currently serving as Germany's Vice-Chancellor and Economy Minister, Habeck gained popularity by leading the Greens through a successful period of growth. However, his policies on transitioning from fossil fuels to greener alternatives have drawn mixed reactions. Now, as Germany prepares to vote, the world is watching. The key issues dominating the elections include Germany's approach to the war in Ukraine, economic recovery and migration. With Nancy Baloda, Amit Mukherjee for DD India.
Kash Patel took oath as the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation on Saturday, placing his hand on the holy book, the Bhagavad Gita, and he became the 9th person to lead this agency. The oath ceremony was administered by the U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi in the Indian Treaty Room in the Eisenhower Executive Office building. on the White House campus in Washington. Following the oath, Patel said that he was living the American dream and added that a first-generation Indian is about to lead the law enforcement agency of the greatest nation on earth, unquote. And he also made a strong commitment to ensuring accountability within the FBI.
You're talking to a first-generation Indian kid who's about to lead the law enforcement community of the greatest nation on God's green earth. That can't happen anywhere else. There will be accountability within the FBI and outside of the FBI, and we will do it through rigorous constitutional oversight starting this weekend.
Meanwhile, the U.S. President Donald Trump expressed his strong support for Kash Patel and called him a tough, strong person. The U.S. President Donald Trump ordered his trade chief to revive investigations aimed at imposing tariffs on imports from countries that levy digital service taxes on U.S. technology companies. A White House official providing details of the order said that Trump was directing his administration to consider responsive actions like tariffs to combat the digital services taxes, fines, practices, and policies that foreign governments levy on American companies. The digital service taxes, they are aimed at dominant U.S. tech companies, including Google, Meta, Apple, and Amazon. And they have been a long-standing trade irritant, in fact, for multiple U.S. administrations. Among the countries that levy these kind of taxes are Britain, France, Italy, Spain, Turkey, India as well, Austria and Canada. And this is on sales revenue by these countries or for the digital services provided by these companies. Now, U.S. President Donald Trump on Friday fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Air Force General C.Q. Brown. Brown, in fact, was the second black officer to serve as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff after Colin Powell. Brown, a former fighter pilot and with command experience in the Middle East and Asia, had served as the Joint Chiefs chairman since October 2023. Brown was on official travel leave when this happened. In fact, he was on travel, not on leave, travel when Trump had made this announcement. And Trump, in a social media post, thanked Brown for his over 40 years of service and that he announced that he would nominate the retired Lieutenant General Dan Razin Kane to succeed Brown. Trump will also replace the head of the U.S. Navy, which is a position held by the Admiral Lisa Franchetti, the first woman to head this military service, as well as the Air Force Vice Chief of Staff and Judge Advocates General of the Army, Navy and Air Force. These posts will be replaced. The health of Pope Francis, he's currently receiving treatment for double pneumonia at Rome's Gemelli Hospital, and one of his doctors has said that he is not in danger of death, but has not been fully cured, and his condition could yet change. His medical team said that the Pope was able to get out of bed, sit in an armchair and do some work, but predicted that he would remain in hospital at least through the coming week. Doctors also warned that Francis remains at risk of an infection spreading from his respiratory tract to other parts of his body. Francis was admitted to hospital. This happened on February 14 after he was struggling with breathing difficulties for several days. Onlookers in downtown Buenos Aires witnessed the city's iconic obelisk turned into a message of hope for Pope Francis on Friday. The government of Buenos Aires decided to project Francis's portrait and a message of recovery until February 26 to wish him a speedy recovery. An out-of-control waterborne disease outbreak in southern Sudan has killed at least 24 people and left more than 800 in hospital over the past 3 days. The outbreak has overwhelmed the cholera treatment center at Kosti Teaching Hospital, with patients suffering from acute diarrhea, dehydration, vomiting and sunken eyes. Officials have urged stronger chlorination of the water distribution system. Most local restaurants and markets have been closed for as a precautionary measure, and Sudan's healthcare system has been crippled by the country's brutal unrest, which has killed tens of thousands and displaced more than 12 million people. A powerful snowstorm has blanketed Turkey in thick layers of snow. It's created breathtaking winter landscapes while significantly disrupting daily life. Now, due to this, transportation within the cities has been ground to a halt, while roads leading to districts and villages have become completely impassable. Stranded residents have faced difficulties as connections to remote areas were severed. Istanbul's two main airports were forced to reduce the number of flights as heavy snowfall hampered operations. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Mark Lynn. We're taking a short break.
We are looking at the phenomenon that is remaking all aspects of life, digital public infrastructure, DPI. What is India's role in the development of DPI, both domestically and globally? And what are India's strengths in this field, and how is India helping to remake the global digital order?
Traditionally, India has always been at least for the bigger technology solutions, we've always been takers of technology rather than givers of technology. And I think there is a sense of pride that is associated with taking your technology to the rest of the world.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Mark Lynn. Mauritius's Prime Minister Naveen Ramagoolam announced that the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be joining the country's 57th National Day celebrations as a guest of honor. And he was addressing Parliament there, and Ramagoolam said that it would be the country's honor to host such a leader despite his very tight schedule and his recent visits to Paris and the United States.
In the context of the celebrations of the 57th anniversary of the independence of our country, I have great pleasure to inform the House that following my invitation, His Excellency Sri Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India, has kindly agreed. As I said, His Excellency Sri Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, has kindly agreed to be the guest of honor for our National Day celebrations. It is indeed a singular privilege for our country to host such a distinguished personality who is doing us this honor. In spite of his very tight schedule and in spite of his recent visits to Paris and the United States, he has agreed to be here as our special guest. The visit of Sri Modi is a testimony of the close relations between our two nations.
The country will celebrate its National Day on March 12, and last year President Draupadi Murmu had participated in the 56th National Day celebrations of Mauritius as the chief guest. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people of India and abroad in his program Mann Ki Baat, which is going to be aired on the 23rd of February at 11 a.m. It will be the 119th episode of this monthly radio program. The program will be broadcast on the entire network of Akashvani and Doordarshan, on the news website of Akashvani and the News on Air, mobile app. It will also be live streamed on YouTube and channels of Akashvani, DD News, PMO, and also the Information Broadcasting Ministry. Akashvani will broadcast the program in regional languages immediately after the Hindi broadcast. India's Home Minister Amit Shah is chairing the 27th meeting of the Western Zonal Council in West Indian city of Pune. The city is in the west of India. Now, the Western Zonal Council, it comprises of the states of Gujarat, Goa, also Maharashtra and the Union Territories of Dadra and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu. 5 zonal councils were established in the year 1957. India's Home Minister is the chairman of these zonal councils, and the chief ministers of the states are included in the respective zonal councils. The lieutenant governors also of the Union Territories are members. Now, the Zonal Council takes up issues which involve the centre and the states and improves the coordination between the two, and also some regional issues. The Zonal Council can provide an external platform for resolving disputes on issues between the centre and the states, as well as several states and in the region. The Indian Army contingent arrived in Japan. This is for the 6th edition of the India-Japan joint military exercise, Dharma Guardian. And the exercise is scheduled to be conducted in East Fuji Maneuver Training Area of Japan from the 24th of February to the 9th of March. The exercise Dharma Guardian is an annual event. It's conducted alternatively in India as well as in Japan. Last edition of this exercise was conducted in Rajasthan. This happened between February and March of 2024. The Indian contingent comprises 120 personnel, and it will be represented mainly by the troops from the battalions of the Madras Regiment. The aim of this exercise is to enhance interoperability between the two forces. The exercise will focus on high degree of physical fitness, joint planning as well as joint tactical drills. Dharma Guardian, it reinforces the India-Japan relationship as a cornerstone of the regional cooperation, fostering strong military ties and promoting cultural understanding. The Maha Kumbh 2025 in Prayagraj has drawn an overwhelming number of devotees to the sacred Triveni Sangam, the confluence of the Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati rivers. Displaying unwavering faith and devotion, more than 590 million pilgrims have already taken the holy dip, seeking spiritual purification and blessings. People from across India and the world continue to arrive daily, making the Maha Kumbh a global spiritual spectacle. The Maha Kumbh 2025 is not just a religious gathering, it's a reflection of the rich spiritual heritage and also the enduring faith of millions of people. As the sacred waters of the Triveni Sangam witness history, the events continue to inspire devotion, unity and cultural pride. With the final bathing festival of the Maha Kumbh 2025 set to take place on Maha Bharati on February 26, marking the conclusion of the 45-day, once-in-a-12-year fair, officials have ramped up preparations to ensure seamless arrangements for devotees. Acting on Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath's directives, the Chief Secretary Manoj Singh and the DGP Prashant Kumar, they visited Maha Kumbh Nagar on Friday and reviewed the arrangements to provide necessary instructions as well to officials. Now, at the same time, the state government is closely monitoring attempts to disrupt the sanctity of the Maha Kumbh through misleading social media posts. The sports news now, and injury hit Australia will face England in the opening match, their opening match of the Champions Trophy in Lahore on Saturday. Australia, who are the 50 overs world champions, go into this opener of theirs on the back of defeat in Sri Lanka, where no warm-up matches also they've had in Pakistani conditions. Well, Australia's bowling is going to rest largely on the shoulders of the fringe pacemen after their frontline bowlers have pulled out of the tournament because of injury or personal reasons. And for England, Jamie Smith is going to return to the team. He's returning from injury and is going to keep wickets and bat at number 3. Now, the 24-year-old had missed England's recent losses in India because of a calf injury. England lost both the one-day and the T20 series, and Phil Salt retains his spot, while Ben Duckett and Joe Root and Harry Brook and Joss Butler and Liam Livingston constitute the batting lineup. Seems a formidable batting lineup. Could match this. South Africa's opener Ryan Rickelton scored a maiden ODI century as his team eased to a 107-run win over Afghanistan in their opening match of the Champions Trophy in Karachi on Friday. South Africa won the toss. They elected to bat, amassing 315 runs for the loss of 6 wickets in 50 overs. South Africa's innings was anchored by Rickleton, who hit 103. It came from 106 deliveries, but there were valuable contributions from others as well. Now, Afghanistan's Rahmat Shah scored a fighting 90, but South Africa's seamers had stifled the run rate. They picked up regular wickets and their opponents battled to stay in the contest. Afghanistan were eventually bowled out for 208, well short. India overcame a 0-1 deficit to win 3-1 against Ireland in the men's FIH Hockey Pro League in Bhubaneswar. Mandeep Singh scored the equalizer, which sets the tone for the match for India, while Jarmanpreet Singh and Sukhjit Singh helped the hosts to take a lead. For Ireland, Jeremy Duncan was the lone goal scorer. India made amends after conceding the first goal. They launched several attacks to wrest initiative. This was India's third win in the prestigious tournament, and they have 9 points now from 5 games. In the Women's FIH Hockey Pro League, Germany clinched their first win of the season as they stormed to a 4-0 win against India in Bhubaneswar. Sophia Schwabe struck a stunning brace, and goals from Emily Wortmann and Johanna Haschenberg gave the Germans a chance. They saw them climb to the 7th spot in the standings. That's all we have in this edition of DD India Live. Thank you for watching. And for those of you on the go, you can get the latest news from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app, which is available on Android as well as on iOS platforms. And you can scan the QR code and download it. That's all we have in this bulletin. As we said, thank you very much for watching. From all of us here in Delhi, namaskar.